Okay, I'm gonna record the second article. It's now about 10:45 a.m. 10:45 a.m. Sunday, February 4th, 2024. This might be the last lecture I record. This is part 2 of the lecture. I just recorded part 1. Again, I printed the first page in script. Since it looks fancy, but I think it's harder to read like that. Okay, so article from this is work done in January 2024. Now it's February 4, 2024. I'll try and read fast again. This is part 2. It's page 1 or page 17, which because continues, and there's 25 pages, or combined it's 41. Okay, I'll try and read fast, but the other one took the first part took about an hour only, instead of, so it's less than I thought. So this is should take about should be between an hour and a half and 2 hours, I think. I'll probably take a break in the middle. Okay. So page 1, February 3rd, 2024, part 2, February 2, 2024, My Proof of God, February 1st, 2024, January 31st, 2024, Added Truth, January 30, 2024, Added Blog, January 26, 2024, part 2, Proofs of God, long. Okay. My personal note. My personal note. Now I have maybe 60,000 pages of handwritten notes. I hope I can finish my system, at least my magnum opus, which is my 1,000 proofs of the existence of God. Mostly since besides meeting people and the usual duties, I did so much reading, writing, scanning, typing, and video recording in the last 25 years. I published about 3,000 pages of notes in articles on Facebook during the last 2 years alone, and I published several hours of my video camera lectures. Well, first on YouTube, but you couldn't see them. When you link it to Facebook, it's easier to find them. Maybe I will inspire someone to continue this work, but I hope to continue working on my system myself. I'm getting old and weaker, so I hope I can finish. But I've done a lot. I never would dream I would do so much. Okay. January 25, 2024. I added a very short autobiography today. January 24, 2024. Long article, so it was split. Can't add. As I said, I split it. Add notes later on Hartshorne's remarkable career. He lived 104 years, or 103 years. January 23rd, 2024. Later add ideas of Hartshorne's. Oh, let's take a break. It now seems clear that Hartshorne was a major metaphysician. He died at the remarkable age of 103 years in 2000. I have already mentioned him, but it seems I must pause and read a few of his articles, especially on theology and the proofs of God. And I must also read some of his books. Philosophers Speak of God, 1953, Anselm's Discovery, 1965, Insights and Oversights of Great Thinkers, 1983, and the Library of Living Philosophers, Volume 20, The Philosophy of Charles Hartshorne, 1991. So I cannot write much yet, but I think I may have found a great philosopher, and I felt that I should now share this knowledge. Maybe you should also read his books. Hartshorne praised St. Anselm's ontological proof of the existence of God. So this is page 2 or 18. That is a proof that is independent of our sensory perception, and he defended it against attacks, even the famous one made by Kant. I am myself working on a list of 1,000 proofs of God. A few of them I got from Hartshorne's book, Philosophers Speak of God, 1953. There he covers Western and Eastern thought of the last 2,500 years. He first gives an introduction to each selection and follows it by his commentary. It is co-authored with Rees, who himself also wrote another book, namely an important dictionary of Western Eastern philosophy and religion. 200 years after Kant claimed that metaphysics is futile and all proofs of God reduces the ontological proof, and that it is also fails. He thus created a crisis in philosophy, so Hartshorne's response may be vital. Indeed, he said that St. Anselm gave 2 versions of the ontological proof, but only the first version is widely known. The second version of the proof is much better, but unfortunately mostly unknown. January 22nd, 2024, fixed this section by adding later proofs of God. Immanuel Kant, 1724 to 1804, lived 80 years. He criticized or even claimed to have refuted all the proofs of the existence of God, but I think that it may be possible to combine some of Kant's discoveries and develop them and perhaps modify a few of them, and also add discoveries of other metaphysicians to create one or more new proofs of God. An intellectual proof of God's existence would bring God visibly to our mind and into our world, maybe along with creating a whole new metaphysics. A short commentary on Kant, ? Roughly put, we can use in our proofs such propositions as we must see the world as conforming to our perceptions rather than our perceptions as conforming to our other world. Source Kant. Analytic type of proof using only the law of contradiction. Kant accepted Aristotle's logic 2,000 years later, and they may assume binary logic. Kant, source. Synthetic type of proof, including empirical observation. Source, Kant. Space and time are not categories but a priori pure intuition. Source, Kant. We do not know if space and time and the law of causality hold outside our mind due to the transcendental aesthetic and also due to the dialectic of pure reason. Source, Kant. We have a faculty of sensation to know the world. Source, Kant. We have a faculty of perception. Source, Kant. Perceptions of the world occur to us in space and time which precondition them. Source, Kant. We subsume perceptions under the categories and turn them into experience. Source, Kant. We also need schema from the imagination to make concepts concrete. Source is Kant. The 3 ideas of reason, namely soul, world, and God. Soul, world, and God cannot be given and experienced. Source can't. Phenomena are in the mind and are known. Source can't. Pneumona are in the world and are unknown to us. Source can't. A syllogism has a major premise, a minor premise, and a conclusion. Source Aristotle. A demonstrative syllogism gives unnecessary conclusions. Source Aristotle. We have three intellectual faculties, each corresponding to the three functions in an Aristotelian syllogism: understanding, judging, and reason. Source Kant. The faculty of understanding is in time, while the faculty of reason is outside time. Source Kant. Outside of time can mean the usual thing, that is immutable or unchanging, but can also mean changing instantaneously. Source Kant. So on page 420. The law of causality applies to space-time. Source Kant. We also have a faculty of apperception, to see within ourselves. Source Kant. Our mind or soul has inner sense part, time, and outer sense part, space. The former is mostly thinking, and the latter is phenomena caused by the objects outside the mind. Source Kant. There are 12 forms of judgment. Source Kant. Based on the forms of judgment, all the various concepts reduced to 12 categories. Source Aristotle and Kant. There are 4 groups of principles of the understanding about our experience: axioms of intuitions, anticipations of perceptions, analogies of experience, and postulates of empirical thinking in general. Source Kant. I think one of those, I think it includes the law of causality. The law of causality may be doubted, that every effect has a cause. Source Hume. Classical metaphysics is false. It is full of conflicting opinions because of using the faculty of understanding in time, not the faculty of reason outside of time. Source Kant. The dialectic, the fallacy of all the dialectic, the fallacy in all the paralogisms of psychology is confusing the particular phenomenal I with the noumenal I. Source Kant. The dialectic, the fallacy in all the antinomies of cosmology, sophisma, figura dictionis. There is a syllogism. The series in the minor premise is in time, but the conclusion does not follow if the major premise is in time, since the end condition is given if series is outside time, but we do not know if it is given in the case of in time. My note: antimonies of space or time only, that can't ignore antimonies of speed or acceleration, etc. Source Beaton, or author. Page 5. The dialectic, the fallacy in the ideal, is that existence is not a real predicate. It can only be added synthetically, not analytically. Source Kant. To prove that God exists, we can only try to link the necessary existence to God. Source Kant. There are only 3 ways to prove that God exists: ontological, cosmological, and theological. Source Kant. All proofs of God reduce to the ontological proof, a priori proof, not a posteriori proof. Source Kant. We do not know how to define God, so we are led to choose a definition, the Anselisimen, source Kant. God is defined as a simple, that is, non-composite being. He is the intellectual subject, the intellect, and the intellectually cognized object, Maimonides, etc. God is defined as a substance with infinite attributes of infinite magnitude and is conceived through himself. We are only aware of the two attributes of thought or spirit and an extension or matter. Everything exists as modes, that is, modifications of God's attributes. Source Spinoza. Note, unlike the ancient philosopher Aristotle and the medieval philosophers, e.g. Maimonides, Averroes, and Aquinas, who saw God as incorporeal, that is, not a body or a force in a body, and infinite, but for them it was infinite in the sense of having no magnitude rather than magnitude in infinite degree. Definition of God. He is called our Father, and obviously can only be our God if he is a great leader. But to be a leader, you must be intelligent, especially a leader of human beings who are intelligent. So God is an intellectual being, even the supreme intellect in our world. Source Beaton, author. The fourth antimony was inconclusive, trying to prove that the necessary being exists had a fallacy in thesis and antithesis proofs. Source Kant. Substance is made up of matter and form. Source Aristotle. Substance is made up of two types of matter, contrary to Aristotle, positive and negative matter. Coulomb, Ampere, Faraday, Gauss, Maxwell, etc. Page 6. The matter of the earth and of the heavens is the same, contrary to the view of Aristotle, Newton, etc. Source. Light has finite speed, contrary to Newton. Source Maxwell. Light speed can accelerate, contrary to Maxwell, etc. They only got one particular solution of the wave equation. Source Beaton, author. Light speed does depend on relative motion of object and observer, contrary to Einstein, though it is very fast, so it is a good approximation for observing objects on Earth. Only in our mind is light speed truly independent. Source Beaton, because the brain goes where we go. Energy can be potential kinetic, source unknown. Mass is concentrated energy. It may convert into energy and vice versa. Source Einstein. The most famous equation of all science is E equals mc squared. Maybe mass and gravity reduced to charge and electricity, ? It is a weaker force since it is a net force. Attractive and repulsive forces cancel out. Beaton, source. There are 6 kinds of causality: matter, form, efficient, end, freedom, chance. But the last 2 reduce to the other 4. Source Aristotle. Knowledge of an effect involves knowledge of its cause. Source Aristotle. It is not possible to have accurate knowledge of both the position and the velocity of a small particle. Light disturbs it. Source Heisenberg. It is not possible to have accurate knowledge of position and speed of even a small particle, since it has moved by the time light comes to us from it. Source Beaton, author. If a charged particle is moving but also spinning, we may not know if the law of causality is broken. Since it has an electric and magnetic field and interacts with other charged particles, source beta author. A particle may be capable of making decisions, especially if it has gates and memory, another source of uncertainty, source beta author, etc. To unify electromagnetism and gravity, it may be necessary to first equate electricity and acceleration, like Einstein equated gravity and acceleration in general relativity, and ignore the many-body problem and consider the reciprocal attraction of electrons to protons only in atoms, source beta author. The law of inertia, contrary to Aristotle, a particle will keep moving if it is undisturbed. Galileo, Einstein, beta, etc. An infinite series in time is possible. It must only be finite outside time. Aristotle, Kant, sources. An actual infinite magnitude is impossible, since an actual magnitude is a number is even or odd, but infinity is neither. Source Aristotle, Verros, Maimonides, etc. An actual infinite multiplicity is impossible, since we could not know things if they had an infinity of components. Aristotle, Maimonides. My critique of Kant: maybe an infinite series of causes is possible, as he claims, and Aristotle also claimed. But Aristotle also accepted it if some terms in the series vanish, like the case of if the world is eternal. But Kant argued that it is possible only in the first antinomy of eternity versus creation, but also in the fourth antinomy of the existence of a necessary being and in the ideal. Yet this is very different, and here it is not possible, since in the latter case all members of the series exist simultaneously, which would result in infinite magnitude or multitude, and that is impossible. Dialectic. There are 4 paralogisms of pure reason in psychology. Our soul is substance. It is simple, unity over time, and in relation to possible objects in space. Source Kant. Dialectic. There are 4 antinomies of pure reason in psychosmology: creation, elements, free will, and existence of a necessary being. Source Kant. Dialectic. There are 3 types of proofs for the existence of God in the ideal of pure reason. Source Kant. Free will is compatible with the laws of nature, that is, if it occurs outside of time, since the agent may exist in time and have a faculty of perception, understanding, and judgment, but also have a faculty of reason, which is outside of time. Source Kant. This is page 8 or 24. About 24 minutes now. My critique of Kant: I just realized something important. That is why Kant's magnum opus, The Critique of Pure Reason, may have failed. Maybe since he tried to study transcendental realm and the dialectic of pure reason using our ordinary perception, and tried to reach the realm outside space-time. He got the dialectic of psychology, cosmology, and the ideal. But maybe what he should have done instead is use our faculty of apperception, so we can use the faculty of reason, which is outside time, rather than our faculty of understanding, which is in time. In the cosmology section, he had 4 major antinomies, but they used the fact that in perception we are given a series in space-time in the minor of the syllogisms. The result is a fallacy of the understanding in both sides. But if you use the faculty of apperception instead, then the minor premise would be outside time, and in the faculty of reason, the major premise would also be outside time, thus removing the fallacy. So you restore the contradictions, question mark? No, since the thesis applies to those beings with a faculty outside of time, and the antithesis to those beings with a faculty only in time. Even in psychology, the four paralogisms may be resolved by a similar approach to the antinomies. So, for example, are we substance, question mark, that is, subjects, not predicates. Really, the cause of our existence can be ourselves. Our body is made up of atoms. There is a series that goes all the way to the unconditioned, necessary, existent, or first cause. But since it is outside space-time, the law of causality can be broken. Also, the cause of our actions can be ourselves. We are free. Unlike the philosopher Al-Farabi, we do not need an angelic active intellect to make us capable of thinking, to make our intellect pass from potentiality to actuality. Again, there is a series that goes all the way to the unconditioned, but it is outside of space and time, so the law of causality can be broken. We are substances, since unlike for Spinoza, we are the causes of our existence and even our actions. Page 9 or 25. And about 27 minutes.